Good evening. We are live and on the air. This is Omnibroslive. I'm one of your co-hosts, Omnidog, and with me is your other co-host, A Week in Geekdom's Geo. How's it going, Week?
Hey, Jess. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody watching. It's a pleasure to be here on this fine Thursday night, or whatever time it may be when you're watching this later on. But I'm very happy to be here to talk some comics and other fun stuff on today's show.
Taylor Brown already in the chat trying to stir it up.
Oh, boy.
Omar's not here tonight, and I'm here to tell you, don't read either of those books. Those books both got root beer poured on them, as Taylor Brown well knows. Tonight's episode is brought to you by InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add 2% to that. You just missed an Omnibros Live code, but it'll be there next quarter for extra percentages off. Over $50 in an order gets you free shipping in the United States. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com.
Nice.
Sam I Am says the Silver Fox and the Manga Legend.
Oh, boy.
The Manga Legend. Heyo.
I don't know about legend, but I do love me some manga. So
yes, you do. At least 50% of the co-hosts in this show tonight read and love manga.
Exactly. Those are good odds.
Yes. Yes, they are. So tonight's episode is the Convince Me episode, and it came out of a chat that we had going this morning, where I don't want to spoil it for you, but Geo was talking about a book, and I said, well, tell me about that book. And he told me about it, and it's a book that I believe he's mentioned before, and I'm like, it sounds like manga to me. And he described it, and I'm like, does it read like a Western comic? And he said, yes. And I'm like, oh, well, you convinced me. And I think he's going to mention it tonight. So I thought we could make an episode out of this where we try to convince each other to read books that we normally that fall out of our comfort zone, that normally we don't necessarily read. I found out some books that Geo hadn't read, and so I books that I really liked, and I believe he has some books that he really likes that I haven't read. And why are you guys assuming that he's going to try and convince me to read manga? Manga's off the table. He's not going to try and get me to read manga. We have a gentleman's agreement. No manga.
Yeah. I really wanted to, but I respect Jess so much, and he doesn't want it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to talk about manga. Okay.
I love that the chat just assumes that it's going to be manga.
They know us too well.
Yeah, they do. They know us very well. So do you want to start off with that book that we were talking about in the chat, or did you want to start with something else?
Yeah, sure. This goes for you, Jess, and for everybody at home. This was originally published as an indie web comic on the internet. You know, that famous internet that people like to visit. It is this title called Kill 6 Billion Demons. It's a very weird title, but it's a very strange and awesome little book about, a main character that loses her love interest to some dimension-hopping knights, monster demons, and she acquires the power to go get him back. And the story just goes off the rails from there. It's set in the center of the multiverse, if you will, as she tries to combat demons and goddesses and gods and all those wonderful mythological creatures. As you know, she's trying to rescue her boyfriend. And in the process, learning more about herself and just how much of a powerful individual she can be. She's empowered with some magical artifacts, and man, this series has a ton of world building, and that's one of my favorite things about a story, where you can construct, like, it's okay to have a story about a character and he goes from point A to point B. That's perfectly fine. But what I like to read is stories that, you know, they have a huge landscape of characters, a huge, like a mythology, if you will, where everything leads into something. There are finer details in the story that, like, you'll see a character and there is an explanation for that character that may or may not necessarily impact the story, but it's there for you to read and learn, similar to like a novel, and you learn more about this world, about this multiverse. And this is pretty awesome. The author does a lot of text as well. You don't, well, I don't know if the camera can pick it up straight or not, but like all the prophetic texts and sort of like the religious scriptures, if you will, and all that stuff, they're all in here, and they enrich the story. And I wholeheartedly recommend it. The drawings are pretty weird, pretty funky, but they're pretty badass too, in my opinion, especially with the human characters. At first, when I first started reading it, it was a little bit weird for me, but I grew accustomed to it pretty quickly. And yeah, I mean, check this particular panel out. And it's just a really wonderful story with tons of color and personality, and something you don't see very often, because you got characters that it's usually the guy that is trying to save the damsel in distress, and I like that it's switched around, and it's the girl trying to save the guy from these monsters. Here is a huge panel that's laid out like this. You literally get a detailed explanation on the area you're visiting, and you have to read it sideways like this. And yeah, it's pretty great. It's the first trade. It's only like $8 at In Stock Trades, our wonderful sponsor, and it's magazine sized, which I really appreciated. Here is volume 2, with more.
Is the artist the writer too? Is it written and drawn by the same person?
Tom Parkinson Morgan. He does the arts, the colors, the drawing, the writing, everything. Let's see if I can find I can't find it right now, but you know, it's more of this wonderful art. And the only negative, and I ranted about this on Instagram and our chat, is that I recently got my hands on volume 3, and it's a standard size trade paperback. I mean, what the hell? Seriously, look at this. Look at the size difference between the two books. I mean, don't let that impede you from checking out Kill 6 Billion Demons. It's a really fun book. It's a fun, quirky title. But come on. I'm thinking maybe it was a little bit expensive for an obscure title, so they weren't going to publish the third one in this larger format. But well, what can you do? You know, at least we have the first trades, the first 3 volumes here to gush over. And if you want to read more about this, and if you want to read it for free, actually, you can go to the website for the author. Let me open the page here. Created by Tom Parkinson Morgan. Kill 6 Billion Demons was originally a webcomic. It can be found online at kill6billiondemons.com. You can go to the website, read it, and if you want to support it and read it in a physical format, you can order it from Amazon or In Stock Trades or wherever you may prefer. So that's my first recommendation to you, Jess, and everybody watching at home, is Kill 6 Billion Demons.
Okay, you've convinced me. I want that book.
Yes. All right.
I want that book. It sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, Omar's okay. He usually doesn't do Thursday nights. He has Girl Scouts for his daughter on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So he usually doesn't do Thursday nights. And Ryley usually does Thursday nights, but he's seeing Toy Story 4.
I know.
Thank you, Joe Chip. Yeah, I didn't have power Monday night. Thunderstorms rolled through the area and we lost power.
How long did it last, the outage?
A couple hours, and then we lost it again for no reason.
That's the worst.
Like Tuesday at midnight, it went out. I mean, thunderstorms went through like at 9 p.m. and then at midnight, everything was quiet, and then boom, we lost power for like 3 hours.
Oh man, yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, but it was just temporary. So, but it came back. Ethan Ainsworth, you can get Irredeemable for cheap if you use the Graphite app. Graphite is the app that Boom Studios uses now for free. It's a free comic app. Boom, IDW. Who else is on there?
Dynamite,
and
somebody else. I forgot.
Somebody else. I can't think of who else. But yeah, you can. Oh, I have my shirt open. Yeah, Kristan's definitely not in the chat because Jess pulled a Hasselhoff on us. Yeah, Kristan's working. You can tell. My shirt's unbuttoned. Let's see. Where was I? Oh, and Freddie Alonso said something about Pretty Deadly being on, being a new. Is it a new issue or a new trade that's coming out? Freddie Alonso. No, Ethan, the trades aren't in print either. That's the problem. Is Boom has done a terrible job keeping it in print, and now Incorruptible has started going out of print too, and that's a good series too. So if you want to read it, you need to get the Graphite app. It's free, and the comics are free, and that's a good way to read Irredeemable. So let's see. What am I going to start with? I will start with Beauty from Image. This is 5 volumes. And I just read volume 5 today, and it's actually, you can tell a lot by the covers because they're all very pretty, except if you look at them carefully, they're all kind of horrifying. If you look at them carefully, this is the first one. They're all pretty, except they've all got something horribly wrong with them because they are. It's a world where you catch an STD. Only this sexually transmitted disease makes you beautiful. And that's why it's called, you've caught the beauty is what they call it. And there's, the problem is that it eventually ends up killing you, which people don't find out till it's too late. Everybody wants to get the beauty, so they start sleeping around trying to get the beauty. There's a part in one of these books where a woman sleeps with a good-looking guy and she doesn't turn beautiful, and she's the next morning she goes, "What the hell?" And he goes, "What?" And she goes, I'm still normal." And he goes, what did you expect? And she goes, "I thought you had the beauty." And it turns out he was just a normally handsome guy, and she didn't catch the disease. But there's crime associated with it because there's a pharmaceutical company that is associated with it, that's associated with the cure that they withhold from people. They're corrupt politicians, of course. There is a beauty task force that's set up because crimes are being committed against the beautiful people. They become a persecuted minority known as beauties. So there's a beauty task force, and that's who it concentrates on. It ends up concentrating on, let's see, Kyle and Vaughn, is that their name? Foster and Vaughn. Foster and Vaughn are the detectives, and they end up being the focus, especially of this book, Volume 5. They end up being the focus of this volume when there's a crime syndicate that a couple of beauties decide to go after. A crime syndicate that a couple of beauties decide to go after on their own as vigilantes, and they start taking down members of this crime syndicate, killing them, and the task force catches up to them and ends up helping them. I actually don't want to give away too much out of this, but it's actually pretty action-packed because the beauty task force in this issue isn't really up to much until they catch this case where it's human trafficking that puts them on to the Vengeance Brigade, that these two people are going on a rampage trying to find these two people, and they're trying to take down this crime syndicate themselves while they try and head off these two people that are trying to do it themselves on their own. So there's a lot going on in all these different 5 volumes that stem from this. It's a lot more than the sexually transmitted disease. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more. It's about kind of like power, beauty, corruption, what people will go to attain all those things, power and beauty. And it's more than a police procedural too, but it's got a lot of let's see, Hahn is the author. What's his first name? It's on the first book. Jeremy Hahn is the writer, and he does a really good job. I love police procedurals, and he does a good job at writing this. I don't think this book gets very much credit. It hasn't come out in hardcover or anything, so I don't know that this is getting as much credit as it should. It's kind of under the radar, but it's really really good police procedural kind of thing in the kind of in the vein of Criminal. In an Ed Brubaker style police procedural, with a little touch of maybe Garth Ennis weirdness to it, with the beauty sexually transmitted disease. So I really like, and it's, I don't know how much I know how much you like world building, and I love world building too, mm-hmm. but it centers more on the two detectives and what they go through in trying to deal with the beauties and the crimes that are committed around that world. And I think it's interesting, the people that want to get infected, how they get infected, and that they want to get infected before they find out it's actually going to kill them. That I thought that it wrapped up in like the 3rd trade. And then I was surprised when the 4th and 5th trades came out, because they were more standalone. Trades 4 and 5 were more standalone. Once the corrupt politicians angle and the pharmaceutical company angle and the "you're gonna die after you catch this" angle were all solved. But then it turns out there's a lot more to the story. This writer had a lot more going on than I even thought, because trades 4 and 5 were standalone, interesting trades on their own. And so I think this has a lot of staying power. I'm looking forward to more trades. There's 5 of them from Image, and I'm looking forward to more. And I am sorry that I doubted it, because I thought, oh, well, that's it. It's wrapped up now. And no, I think there's a lot more happening. And these 2 detectives, it's more than just a sexually transmitted disease thing now. It's more of an interesting cop drama to me.
Cool. I mean, by the sounds of it, it's some pretty clever satire on actual beauty and how the media perceives it and how the people look for it. So I think you talked me into it an earlier episode, but now that I'm paying more attention to it, it sounds pretty awesome. So I do want to read it, actually.
It's pretty exciting, I think. I found it. I read volume 5 today, and I found it really exciting. Just the action that's going on. The 2 vigilantes have a relationship with each other where they care for each other, and their motives are established earlier on in the book. Why they want to do that? Why they are after this particular crime syndicate. It's because of what the crime syndicate is involved in, and the detectives are very likable. They're not. They're written very likable, but very, very realistic. So I mean, I'll kind of leave it at that. But it's a fun book. I really enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, I will add it to my list of books to get. Taylor says, these comics aren't smart enough for Omar. Come on.
Well, that's because Drew B said Omar called. He said he's on his way now to save this show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Drew B going for blood.
Harsh. Well, I got the perfect remedy for everybody watching. And Jess, I have a book that I mentioned earlier in the day, and it is the Atlantis Bible that I call the Atlantis Chronicles.
I own it. Make me want to read it.
Oh, you do own it. All right. Well,
I own it, but I haven't wanted to read it yet. I've avoided it.
Well, I will do my best sales pitch, and just know that this event, because I like to call it an event, chronicles everything about a lost civilization to the point where you start believing that this was real. And Peter David goes into historical fiction subgenres to bring Atlantis to life in a way that very few people know how to do. It is a living, breathing entity that resonates with its kings and queens and citizens, and you feel the emotions that are happening when Atlantis sinks, and how it is a tale of 2 brothers, and eventually how one of them is cursed and starts this lineage across centuries, if you will, thousands of years actually, that eventually lead into Arthur Curry becoming a key part of not only Peter David's run, but the actual Atlantis history, and how, you know, it becomes a little bit meta-ish because you're reading sort of like this sacred text, but in the actual story, it is a sacred text, and historians are adding stuff to it, you know, the stuff that you're reading. So on that aspect, I really love it, and I really think it's an underrated DC story because, you know, everybody's so focused on Metropolis or Gotham City or regular superheroics. This has none of that. Instead, it has the journey of a people that were really smart, but due to their avarice, greed, and just politics, it led to their downfall. And from a disaster of the city sinking and hundreds of people losing their lives, it gave birth to one of the more unique races in the DC universe, in my honest opinion. And Aquaman is not in this book, or Mira, or none of that stuff. And it still tells you a very compelling, wonderful story, I think. So I do recommend it for anybody that is interested in anything Aquaman. I do recommend Atlantis Chronicles. It has wonderful art from Esteban Maroto. And you do get an answer why Aquaman has blonde hair, and I thought that was pretty clever. Here are some wonderful drawings, really vibrant stuff, and the printing on this is great. It has a nice texture to it, all the pages, and they're so glossy with remastered artwork and all that stuff. So yeah, if you're looking for something totally different than your normal DC fare, then yeah, do check out Atlantis Chronicles from Peter David.
Okay. That makes me want to read it.
Yes.
Excellent.
Plus, it leads into it after you're done. It makes you want to jump into Peter David's Aquaman run, and when you start reading that run, it picks off from the Chronicles. So I'd liked that interconnectivity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, there it is, right there. Okay, I've located it in the library of no chronological order, is what I call it. Okay, the next thing that I will recommend is Postal.
Ooh.
7 volumes of Postal. Now you said you've read the first volume, but you didn't. It didn't. Maybe it didn't grab your attention enough, or perhaps it didn't. You got your attention drawn away by something else. But I'll give you my sales pitch anyway. Eden is a place. Eden is a place that shouldn't exist. It is, I believe it's in Wyoming. Yeah, Eden, Wyoming. It's not on any maps. It's not on any GPS. It's not. It doesn't exist officially. It's where criminals who have served their time, who want to disappear, the government wants to disappear and not exist, go. There's a mayor, there's a post office, and there's a code there that there shall be no killings. There's also a cafe and a sheriff, and there is a postal worker there who has Asperger's, and his name is Mark, and he is the postal worker, which is where this book gets its name. He's also the mayor's son. And the mayor's a little embarrassed by him and not really quite sure what to do about him, but he quickly becomes the focus of this book because it's clear he has a lot on the ball and understands exactly what's going on in this town. Because he handles all the mail that comes to this town that shouldn't exist. Even though it shouldn't exist, it does get mail. You're going to have to go with that. His father is a bit of a mystery in the very beginning, but it turns out he and his father and mother had something to do with establishing Eden. And there's a murder that happens, and the code is that if you're found guilty of murder, you are executed immediately. There's no murders allowed in the town. That's the one rule. And but there's more going on, obviously, than meets the eye, because there's 7 volumes of this thing. So there's mysteries after mysteries after mysteries, because the FBI shows up. The FBI knows that it's there, knows the town's there. The Aryan Brotherhood the Aryan Brotherhood is, let's see, when a former member of the Aryan Brotherhood named Rowan is threatened by figures from the past. Blah, 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 blah. That's right. There's a guy from the Aryan Brotherhood who's reformed, and he shows up in Eden. But the Aryan Brotherhood decides they want to track him down and make him pay. And so the residents of Eden, have to kind of rally around and defend him. And there's also interpersonal things going on between Mark and a young woman in the town, even though he's not really capable of expressing his emotions as maybe the woman would like. She finds herself falling in love with him. And this is like, this is probably I think the climax of the book right here, when they're getting ready to defend, the town is getting ready to defend this guy. This is in volume 4. This part right here, where Mark has figured everything out. Right here, he's got an array of weapons in front of him, and he says, "From what I understand, this is a war. If we lose, we die. Eden dies. Listen to me, and I will tell you how we win." Okay? And he's got all these weapons in front of him, and he's got the attention of everybody. And it is his book from then on. It's not the mayor's anymore, not the sheriff's. It becomes Mark's book from then on, as it becomes clear that he's the one in charge of events as they now happen. The kid that has Asperger's, that nobody thought could actually, do anything, that wasn't capable of a rational thought. It turns out he's perfectly capable and super capable of sizing up issues and making clear plans and figuring out the rational way out of certain circumstances. And this is only book 4, because we've got 3 more volumes to go, where there are problems happening in Eden, and he figures it out how to solve the problems that happen. And I love the idea that Eden's not supposed to exist, that it's not on any map, that it's full of ex-criminals, pardoned criminals, criminals who have served their time. That there's an FBI agent involved in it who's overseeing Eden, that there's some crazy people involved, that Mark's father's involved, who was presumed dead, and now he is coming back. It's almost got a little scalped flavor to it. And Matt Hawkins has done a great job of building the Edenverse, because it also, he's got sister titles called The Tithe and Think Tank, which are wonderful books to read. In conjunction with this, I am a huge believer in the Edenverse, which is what it's called, to read Think Tank and Tithe. And then there's Eden Falls, which is like a 3-issue series that mashes Think Tank and Tithe and Eden or Postal all together. And I think the world of this book. It is an exciting. This is a book that Omar would like, because it is a smart comic. It is very well done, very well researched. Matt Hawkins, in the back of almost all his books, except for Postal, in the back of Think Tank and Tithe, has where he gets all his information from, like 12 pages worth of research, where he gets all his information from that he bases his books on. And so all of this stuff is based on research that he does for various papers that he does and things like that. And I just think the world of Postal, and it's coming back apparently, and I'm very excited. That's another book that I thought wrapped up nicely, but I'm happy to read more about. And it's extremely well written and interesting, and it's a tiny world. It's a little town, but the world is really well thought out and fleshed out, and I dig it completely. I really love Postal.
I've only read the first trade. I did a mini review on it on my channel, and I liked it. I thought it was really great. However, I wasn't a fan of the art.
Oh, okay.
Seeing the panels from later volumes, it changes, right? It's a different artist, because it looks pretty awesome, actually.
I think maybe the artist just gets better, because I think it's the same artist. It's Isaac Goodhart, the same all the way through with Michael Russell.
Ah, well, good for him, because that first I liked the art, but I mean, I liked the book, but the art was kind of like the weak point for me. I'm like, it's all right. But looking at those panels in volume 4, I think it was, with the riot gear and stuff, it looks really good. And I didn't know the story went that way. So now I'm itching to go back and read it. I do have 2 or 3 more books. I need to get the whole thing, but I can at least continue my read with Postal.
Yeah, Ethan asked a good question. If they're criminals, aren't some of them killers? They just expect them to listen to the no kill rule. Yeah, they're not escaped criminals. They're criminals that have paid their debt to society. So they have shown that they are capable of change or a willingness to conform to what society expects of them. So they didn't go into jail and keep committing murders. They were able to at least not commit murder while they were in jail, and that's the exchange you make when you move into Eden. We're going to give you a place to live that's peaceful and away from civilization, and you're free of responsibility, but you cannot kill. And so that's the exchange. And if you kill, you lose that right to live here, and we execute you. So that's the exchange you make. And it's a comic book, okay? So
you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Yeah, comics. So there you go.
I'm reading in the chat that apparently the deluxe hardcover was canceled.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's too bad.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it would have needed to be like 3 hardcovers, I think, with 7 volumes. But I would also recommend Tithe and Think Tank. Those are also written by Matt Hawkins and Brian Hill.
Are they heavy? Like, do they connect a lot to Postal, or?
Only in the Eden Falls. I apologize. Only in the Eden Falls special, which is in like volume 3 of the Tithe or something. But they're also really well written books that I really enjoyed. The Tithe is about corrupt churches, and then Think Tank is about this wild weapons designer, modern day weapons designer, who goes rogue. And the amount of research that Matt Hawkins puts into these things, and Brian Hill, I think they're kind of a team for these books. Both of them put in a huge amount of research into these things, so they're very well thought out and well written.
Nice. And
Yeah.
I also read in the chat that there was, and you mentioned that there is new material out there. Does it continue the story, or is it like one shots? Or
I actually don't know. I just saw in a I'm sorry. I just saw in a solicitation that Postal was coming back, and that's all I saw.
okay, well, I promise I will try and read it before the year ends because I'm looking at my shelf and I have up to volume 4. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm
well,
gonna
that's
start.
good.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with volume 1 again because I barely remember anything. I remember now because of your summary. So I'm gonna start all over again and see if my opinion changed with the art and all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited now.
Good. That's great. That's awesome.
See, in this show, everybody wins. The audience gets recommendations, and we get to geek out about books again. I love this show.
I do too.
I do have a surprise book that I did not mention in our chat.
Oh,
And I do know that you don't have any nostalgic connection to it. So that's why I brought it. And it is this little baby right here.
oh wow! You're gonna have to do the biggest sell job ever.
This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IDW hardcover collection, volume 1. This is a beast of a book. I love this so much. Um, yeah, it's a generational thing, I guess, because I even though I was born after the Turtles debuted, because I think it was 84, I was born in 87. But still, when the first movie came out, I did go see it if my math is correct. I don't know. I'm terrible at math. But I did see the movies in theaters, and I loved the cartoon, and I loved the video games, and I love the Ninja Turtles because, they're freaking Ninja Turtles. They do awesome ninja things that we normal humans cannot. And at first, when you have books like these, you put them off as kind of cheesy because if it's an old property like say TMNT or old Nickelodeon shows, you don't necessarily want to read it in comics. You don't think it might surpass or be as good as your childhood memories or that older material. But in the case of these comics, the main appeal is that it disregards all that stuff and it creates sort of this new mythos, if you will, new stories. It introduces new characters, and it's fun, man. It has great art. It is consistently great. It is one of my favorite things in my collection, and uh, I can't. Let's see if I can. I mean, hold on a second. I mean, check this out. I like big, bold, and beautiful, bright books, and this delivers on a goofy level. You have to suspend your disbelief because it's 4 large mutated turtles doing action ninja stuff, and they're fighting against Shredder, who's also like a master ninja. But eventually, it goes off and does its own thing by introducing concepts of reincarnation and how the Ninja Turtles were actually, Splinter was a rebel samurai thing back in feudal Japan, and he got executed along with the 4 turtles, which and they weren't turtles, they were kids. And later on, it's not like 100%. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not like 100% guaranteed that was the main thing, but they give you hints like that could have been how this feud began between these 5 characters and the evil Shredder with the Foot Clan and all that stuff, and how this vengeance continues, and it sort of gives a more deeper backstory to fantastical characters. But again, if you are interested in anthropomorphic animals doing pretty fun stuff, they're trying to save the world, eat pizza, and just take out aliens and bad guys. And it's just crazy, whacked out fun. It's not, it's not super hokey. You're gonna have a fun time. They're all the turtles have distinct personalities. The fun interaction between the brothers. I don't know. What do you think, Jess? What do you think about the Ninja Turtles?
I actually don't have an opinion on them. I've never read a Turtles book. I've never seen a cartoon. I don't have any experience with them. So that's why I just said you had your work cut out for you, because I just don't have a feeling for them at all. That and things like Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man and anything that's come from a cartoon or Saturday morning, I just don't have any feeling for at all. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't have any. I don't have any feeling for it. TMNT and wait, what's the other thing that Tyler Blunt loves so much? What is it?
Power Rangers.
Yeah, Power Rangers. Those two things I'm way older than that.
Power Rangers, I liked it when I was like 6, 7, something, but I never continued on with it. So I can't talk about that franchise in depth. But I don't know, with the Turtles, like
the chat thinks I'm dead inside. I just it's not that I'm dead inside. I haven't had any exposure to it. I didn't grow up with them in my life, so I've never seen them. I'm open to. I mean, Gio's making a case for it, so I'm open to him. So it's fine. I'm not dead inside though. Don't be heartbroken, Bandito. I'll give it a shot.
Here's the scene that I was mentioning. I don't know if you can see it. In Japan, and they were executed, and their spirits, they got reincarnated later on in the future or our present time as 4 mutated turtles, and Splinter as the wise rat and all that stuff. But 100% would love to think that yes, this is the new origin. It sort of brings a new spin to the classic cartoons and the classic movies and old comic books. I'm not a huge fan of the original comics. They were a little bit too grim and gritty, and they were in black and white and kind of sketchy, not my sort of thing. But with this, it hits all the right notes. It's fun. It's action-packed, wonderful characters, and a modern reboot, reimagining, if you will, of the Ninja Turtles, being pretty awesome, pretty badass. I do recommend it. It's a solid entry point. You don't need to know anything about previous comics, just the general knowledge of who the Turtles are and their relationship with each other, who April O'Neil is. They're the Turtles feud with Shredder and the Foot Clan. There are hundreds of villains that are animal-based. Like, there's one that's like a giant fly monster. There's another one that's a giant stingray. It's kooky, fun. I think
you're breaking up a little there.
So if you like that sort
are they hard to find at all? Any of them?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
They were usually a volume will go, usually a volume will go out of print and then come back again. I think everything is still in print as of this video. I think they're not super hard to find, and volume 9 is coming up next month or in August. So yeah. It's pretty fun. I do think you'll have a good time of reading Turtles. Plus, this cover's badass. I love it so much.
That is a cool cover. All right. I will give it a shot. I will give that volume a shot. Okay, I will definitely give that a shot. You made your case. I will give it a shot. I will definitely try it. I think I only have one more that I think is really worth arguing about. Not arguing, but making a good case of convincing. I feel like. I mean, I could do another couple, but it's already almost 9 o'clock. And so I will make this all about. Now, you said you hadn't read this yet. This is what I consider the top Marvel superhero comic in the past 5 years. This is my opinion, and I'm a co-host, so I'm entitled to my opinion. All New Wolverine is the best Marvel superhero comic in the past 5 years because it contains everything you want in a superhero comic. It has action, excitement, superpowers, humor, humorous humor. It has an excellent lead character. It has a lead character that is a strong, independent woman that doesn't take shit from anybody. She is an excellent, excellent fighter. I think she is a worthy name for the name. She's worthy of the name Wolverine, although you can call her X-23. I'm just as happy with that, and she probably would be too. In this first volume, she finds out she has been a bunch of cloned sisters. One of them is the one that really sticks is Gabby. And Gabby is a little one, and the littlest one, and she ends up becoming a tiny little Wolverine, and they call her Honey Badger, and she gets all the funniest lines, and she has a pet Wolverine, and she is the beating heart of this comic book because she is a crack up. But Wolverine has tons of adventures. And it's fine with me if you want to call her X-23. I don't care. I'm just calling her All New Wolverine. But she has lots of adventures where, like right here, she's with Doctor Strange, and she deals with Taskmaster. I think we get in this first volume, we don't really. Yeah, she deals with a couple of her sisters. We don't get to see Gabby in full force until here, when we see Old Man Logan too, who I'm still not sure at this point what the heck Old Man Logan's doing. I forget. I don't have enough Marvel knowledge, current Marvel knowledge, to know why Old Man Logan keeps showing up all over the place instead of just having Wolverine just finally show up. Why we got to have Old Man Logan? But anyway, Honey Badger is here. She is with Wolverine, her little pet Wolverine, and she's there's all kinds of amazing adventures and excitement through 6 volumes. Nice. Tom Taylor writes these 6 volumes, and the new X-23 is also well written. That's by Mariko Tamaki, but Tom Taylor's the one that sets the stage really well. Some people feel like it's sort of dipped in the middle. I felt like it was strong all through all 6 trades. I enjoyed all 6 trades just the same. So I mean, there's tons of adventures where they, they meet up with all kinds of various superheroes, and they're, in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Enemy of the State. I think this is a Civil War. This is a Civil War thing.
I think
maybe the Orphans of X. That was good. Immune. Enemy of the State. No, I think this is a. No, I think Enemy of the State too. I think this is just a. No, this is okay. This was good. They frame her for murder. So I'm just trying to show you some of the fun art. You've got Angel and Gambit and Nick Fury in this one. You've got pirates in this. I liked how there's all these kind of pirates in this, and so I'm not doing a good job expressing why I like this so much. Oh, yeah, they had to go to Madripoor in this because I forget why they had to go to Madripoor. Oh, there's Tiger. They had to go to Madripoor and Tiger's place, and they had to infiltrate it, and it was really awesome. I don't know. I'm not doing a good job elaborating on why this is so much fun, but I just had a blast reading the whole thing, mostly because of Honey Badger. She's just so funny. And here is the only issue ever, the only trade paperback ever where Daken is a good guy. You'll actually like Daken in Orphans of X. Daken is actually a halfway decent person in this. They create a fake mother for these guys, where it looks like it's Laura's mother, and it turns out to be like a cyborg that sees into where they are, and the Orphans of X come after them, and Daken is actually a good character for once, because I absolutely hate him.
Yeah, he's pretty unlikable.
Yeah, but he's really likable in this. The Orphans of X are after the children of Logan, so they're coming after Gabby and Daken and Laura, and it is just super fun. Oh, look at this badass armor she gets to wear. So that was really cool. I saw a good question in there. Jess, what did you think of the Squirrel Girl issues in All New Wolverine? I know how much you love that character. That's probably the only Squirrel Girl appearance that I actually liked. I just saw that really quick. Was that in number 2? I saw that really quickly. It was not that bad. It was, yeah, she's here with Squirrel Girl in number 2. Oh, that was Civil War 2. Volume 2 had Civil War 2 in it, and it wasn't that bad, even though Civil War 2 was in it. You kind of breezed through it. It wasn't that bad of an issue, even though Ryley got drunk talking about Civil War 2. But yeah, Squirrel Girl was fine. Kenny says the current X-23 is good, but not as great as All New Wolverine. Right, I agree, but X-23 is really good. But All New Wolverine, action-packed, funny as heck, strong, independent woman, lots of fun character crossovers, fully fleshed out with well-thought-out stories, completely interesting, and she is a good role model for Honey Badger, and Honey Badger does all kinds of impish fun things, and I think it is just as fun as a superhero book can be. It was one of my top books for, I don't know, 2017. What year is this? 2019? I think it was finished in 2017 or maybe 2018. Whatever it was one of my top books for that year. And then it moved its way into my top 10, making it a top 12 because I had so many. Oh, I'll tell you why Omar's not on tonight. Because he's on live on his own goddamn show right now.
Wow. Okay.
The frickin' guy.
Oh, man. Oh, Omar.
I thought he had Girl Scouts. Why you, Omar?
Oh, yeah, yada.
Oh, yeah, yada. So anyway, all new Wolverine. Exciting and fun and infectious, and I really, really loved it.
Awesome. I do remember
superhero book out there.
I know X-23 from her debut in X-Men Evolution, but I've never read her comic book, her comics. Sorry. So I'm very interested in reading that. I know you've mentioned it a long time since you first read it, the first volume. So I'm really excited. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I think you dig it a lot.
Mm-hmm. She looks like a really awesome, badass character.
She is. She is awesome. I think Tom Taylor is underappreciated writer.
Mm-hmm.
I think X-Men Red was great.
Yep.
And All New Wolverine was great. And didn't he write what's that video game book that he wrote for DC?
Injustice.
Yeah.
Great too. So I think he's one of the few authors that he doesn't have a bad book because everybody loves those X-Men books. Injustice is great, and now his deceased title with the zombie apocalypse or whatever in DC Comics, that's doing really well, and it's a top seller. So I don't think he's done a bad book.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Omar doing Omni News live during this stream, the shade of it all. Oh, Omar. I was just on the phone with him today, too.
You remember when I told you this was like a nerdy soap opera?
Yeah.
There you go. Proving my point.
A nerdy soap opera. Why, yada.
Oh.
Do you have anything else that you want to try and convince me on, or are we pretty much convinced?
I think, like, I don't want to push my luck because I could go into weird territory with manga, but I know you don't want that. And a lot of my Image books, you have them. And we share very similar taste when it comes to indie comics. And DC, I looked around and everybody's read Batman and Superman, Wonder Woman. So yeah, it was very difficult for me to pick. So I went with those 3 books that I highlighted tonight.
Okay, good. And I am making you a promise that I will order and read TMNT #1 and give it a shot. I'm going to put it on my wish list and I will give it a shot.
Awesome. Yes.
I'm so glad you didn't make it Power Rangers.
Oh, no. I like what they were or what they are, but I'm not a fan to continue going with the franchise. I liked it like 20 years ago, and that's about it. That's enough for me. But I'm not a fan of the franchise like Tyler and Ryley and all those guys. Yeah.
Well, on my wish list will go Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, and that wish list is at InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add 2% to that. If you're in the United States, you make $50 worth of an order or more, you get free shipping. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Where can they find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me at A Week in Geekdom here on YouTube, where I talk about comics, anime, manga, movies, and everything else in between. I recently, if anybody's visiting my channel, I uploaded a video today, and I noticed a couple minutes ago that it had some technical issues, so I took it down.
Oh.
I'm gonna re-edit that thing, and I'll upload it tomorrow because I don't want to deal with that today. So I'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry. It was a review for Death or Glory from Rick Remender.
Oh,
So,
I gotta read that.
It's
right here.
Man, it's a blast. I love that one so much. I wholeheartedly recommend it.
I gotta read that. I'll read it tomorrow.
Yes, you'll read it in like an hour. It's a very quick read. Well, I'm a slow reader, just in case anybody's like, an hour? Yeah, I'm slow, so don't hate on me.
I'm a pretty slow reader myself.
Yeah, I like to take my time with books.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want to burn through them. I mean, I like to take my time and really get into them.
I already spent money on it. I might as well just take my time with it. So.
Yeah. I totally agree, especially an omnibus. I spent serious money on an Omni. I'm going to take my time reading it.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And you can find me, Omnidog, on Omnidog's Vault on YouTube. And I've got a couple of new shows cooking.
Ooh.
One with Tyler Blunt, the other with Taylor Brown. So we're going to have fun with those shows coming up. And I've had talks with them both, so they're not just thoughts, they're real shows. They're going to be happening, and they're just around the corner.
You also have the horror movie.
That's right. This Saturday will be episode 3 or 4 of A Walk in the Woods at Midnight with my hostess, Jenny, the lovely wife of ETL, who we're going to be talking about Train to Busan.
Nice.
Which I haven't seen yet. I'm watching that tomorrow, so it's freshest in my mind for the next day.
Cool.
Because, of course, I have a terrible memory. And on Instagram, Omnidog_vault. So, just will put those up against Near Mint. That's right. My nemesis. My new Kirkman is Omar.
My new Kirkman. Nice.
So on behalf of InStock Trades and the OmniBros crew and Geo and our fans, thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting. We had a great chat. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. If you can, please give us a review on iTunes. If you listen to us on iTunes, that helps us somehow. Appreciate it. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Bye, everybody.